Title: The Regretful Game. In the small suburban town of Willow Creek, things were typically quiet. The residents lived simple lives, their routines predictable. Yet, on the outskirts of town, a chilling legend thrived among teenagers and thrill-seekers. The tales of a spectral entity known as the Regret, a creature that emerged from the deepest shadows of the internet, born from the darkest corners of Creepypasta lore. It was a Friday night when Jenna Sullivan and her friends, Kyle, Sara, and Tom, were gathered in her dimly lit living room for their traditional sleepover. Pizza boxes were strewn about, and the flickering light from Jenna's laptop illuminated their eager faces. "All right, who do you think is the scariest creepypasta character?" Kyle asked, tossing a slice of pepperoni in his mouth. "Slenderman can't be beat," Tom said defiantly. Sara rolled her eyes. "That's so basic. Have you even heard of the Regret? It's said that once you summon it, it shows you the consequences of your worst decisions." Intrigued, Jenna leaned closer, stealing glances at her friends. "How do you summon it?" "There's an incantation," Sara replied, her voice dropping to a whisper. "But it's not just blah 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 stuff. You need to have guilt weighing you down, something you regret deeply. And once you say the words, you're locked in for good." Despite the apprehension swirling in the room, the thrill of the game took over. They huddled closer, an atmosphere of mischief and fear blending together. "Let's do it," Jenna said, heart racing at the prospect. The others stared at her, uncertainty clouding their faces. Finally, Kyle shrugged. "All right, but if anything happens, it's on you." They gathered in a circle, holding hands. Jenna opened a text file on her laptop and read the incantation aloud. The room grew colder as each word echoed, wrapping around them like a thick fog. A chilling breeze rattled the window, and for a moment, none of them could breathe. "Nothing happened," Tom said, releasing a nervous laugh. But Jenna felt something tighten in her chest, as if a cold hand had wrapped around her heart. Dismissing the feeling, they returned to their banter, but it wasn't long before the atmosphere shifted once more. "Did you hear that?" Sara's voice trembled as she looked toward the darkened hallway. Suddenly, the lights flickered, then steadied. Jenna's laptop screen dimmed, displaying an eerie black and white image of a faceless figure draped in shadow, its body tall and elongated, reaching out with elongated fingers. The caption underneath read, "What do you truly regret? Asterisk." "Is this a joke?" Kyle stammered, a knot of fear tightening in his stomach. "No, no, no," Jenna breathed, panic rising. "It's just a glitch. Let's turn it off." Before she could move, the screen buzzed violently, and another message appeared. "You summoned me." Asterisk thudding footsteps reverberated through the house, and suddenly the laughter had faded. An unnatural silence engulfed them. The darkness was thicker now, pressing against their skin like a suffocating blanket. The four friends exchanged frantic glances, their previous bravado evaporating. Then, Tom broke down, his bravado crumbling. "I regret so much," he shouted, his voice echoing off the walls. "I should have told Anna how I felt before she moved. I'm so stupid." As if woven into the shadows, a whisper rippled through the air, eerie and broken. "Regret seeps into the cracks of your soul." Asterisk black tendrils of shadow twisted and danced around Tom's body, and with every syllable, it seemed his pain dissolved into the air. The dark entity grew stronger, losing its form and coiling menacingly. "Tom!" Jenna screamed, but he seemed entranced. The shadows engulfed him, pulling him into their black embrace, and a moment later, he was gone, evaporated into the abyss. "This is your fault," Kyle shouted at Jenna, the accusations biting. "You brought this upon us." Fearing for her life, Jenna felt a deeper regret bubbling within her. She remembered turning her back on her little brother after their last argument, how she had chosen popularity over family ties. Suddenly, dark fingers crept around her, whispering her deepest regrets and amplifying her guilt. "What do you truly regret?" echoed the monstrous entity, and she realized it was feeding off their sorrow. "No," Sara shouted, stepping back, eyes wild. "We have to fight it." Kyle was trembling, helpless in the face of the regret. Both Jenna and Sara were frozen, entrapped in their own remorse. But as Jenna's thoughts looped over her regrets, she gathered her courage. She snapped out of her daze and let go of her grasp on guilt. "If you let it consume you, it will take you." Jenna shouted at Sara and Kyle. Focus on escaping. The shadows clawed at their spirits, but the girls clung to the thought of friendship, their memories of laughter and joy breaking through the oppressive fog. Together, they began to chant a counter phrase they had learned. I release my regrets. They do not define me. With that, the shadows began to recede, screeching in protest. The room brightened, vibrating with life as the tendrils of ink like despair twisted away from them. In a final explosion of black mist, Tom's anguished face flashed before them, but now it was filled with desperation. Help me, but it was too late. In a heart-wrenching swirl, the boy's cries faded away, his regrets consumed him completely as the darkness dissipated. With the last remnants of the creature unraveling into the ether, Jenna, now breathless and battered, faced the reality of her choice. As the sunrise broke through the windows, spilling light into the once dim room, the weight of loss loomed heavily around them. The chilling experience left Jenna shaken, a reality painting itself in her mind. Sometimes, the monsters we summon from the dark are born from our own regrets.